Hey there, today I'm going to be talking about 5 changes I would like to see made to MCP if there's ever going to be a version 2.0. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. Now, to be upfront, I have no knowledge of any big changes to the game or anything of the sort that is coming. I know last year we got the big update that I've been referring to as the 1.5 update on the game, when there were sweeping balance changes to a bunch of characters, and some updates to the core rulebook, like how Infinity Gems work, crisis selection, and so on. Now, while balance changes are cool, that isn't what this list is about. This is more general, quality of life things that I would personally like to see added into the mix. And then I'll also then talk about why it would be an improvement for the game as a whole. So without further ado, let's get into it. There is something really nice about having all of the rules for a character on their character card. But the first thing I would love to see are more innate keywords added to the game. We currently have 6 keywords: immunity, flight, wall crawler, which were all introduced in the core box. And then over time, we got the Gem Bearer, Healing Factor, and Grunt keywords. These are all abilities that are straightforward enough that they don't need the full description, and are used often enough that it can be justified to be made into a keyword. And really, I think there are probably another 3 or 4 innate powers that could just be added to that list. Stealth, Invulnerability, and Martial Artist are just a few examples. Heck, you could even just use the number system after something like Invulnerability to show how much damage would be reduced. So Invulnerability 1 would represent what Luke Cage, Proxima, Colossus, and so on have, while the Hood's possessed form would have Invulnerability 2. Now, that's the change I would like to see, but why make it all in the first place? Keywords are something that are universal to all affiliations, so in a game where you don't know what all a character like Crimson Dynamo does, it's a lot easier to look at your opponent's card and to see a few keywords at the bottom to know that he can move over size 5 terrain with no problem because he has flying, and he will also reduce incoming damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 because he would have invulnerability instead of whatever fancy armor he has. It also then means that more unique tactic cards can be made that are universal to characters that share a trait. Exceptional Healing is a fantastic example of this, as was Drop Off before it got axed. So if Stealth was just a keyword, which it pretty much is for everyone except for Storm, you could have a card called Into the Shadows that does something cool for the characters that have Stealth, and so on for other traits that we have in the MCP represented through superpowers. This isn't something I would want for reactive or active powers though, because I do think that having the words in front of you for a triggering effect is really important. But something I wouldn't mind seeing as kind of like a bonus one, I guess, is some more consistent naming for powers for the ease of understanding. Just for example, Captain America and Okoye have Bodyguard, which lets them protect a nearby ally, while Honey Badger and Luke Cage both have Too Dangerous to Ignore, which lets them take an attack for an ally because they are really close to the enemy and they're intimidating, so the attacker has to pick them instead. So it'd be great if all of those abilities could be named the same. Instead, we have Colossus that has Big Brother instead of Bodyguard, and Black Dwarf has Intimidating Presence instead of Too Dangerous to Ignore. The second thing I would like to see implemented is the only one of these changes that would actually add to the complexity budget of the game, and it's a change to how terrain gets labeled. Currently, terrain just has a size, and once you're used to the system, it's about as smooth as it can be. But there are some terrain pieces that really just don't make much sense with the current system, including some of AMG's very own. Really, with the current system, the only terrain that really works are solid shapes that scale in weight along with their size. However, if there was a 2-number system put in place, a lot more terrain can become viable. 1 number for the weight of an object, and then a number for the size of the object. That way you can have something really heavy to get tossed around that doesn't take up a huge chunk of your board, or also just wouldn't block line of sight, but have a higher weight if it's something that would still be heavy, like the signpost here that is currently labeled at size 3, but I'm pretty sure not even Black Widow could hide behind this. The reason I would like to see this implemented is mostly from the perspective of an event organizer. I like being able to keep my boards consistent on the number of sizes of different objects and all that kind of stuff so that throwing teams like Magnetos are balanced wherever they are, but also still have all the boards look unique. Being able to open up a larger variety of terrain types makes that a little bit easier. For number 3, well, it's a pretty straightforward one. I would like to see the crisis selection process change again from randomly picking one of your 3 cards to discarding one of your choice and then randomly picking from the other 2 objectives. One of the aspects of MCP that I thought was really fun and interesting when it first came out was being able to help build the mission you are playing and have it be a little bit more tailored to what your list can do over what your opponent can do. Being able to see that I'm playing against a Shadowland Daredevil list with my Avengers, and I'm in the situation where I'm picking extracts, I would really like to be able to discard the Hammers objective, and then randomly pick from my other options so that I don't pick an objective that favors me most of the time, but in that matchup would be even better for my opponent. I enjoyed having some level of strategy attached to this part of the game. So even if this isn't the fix because it can just basically let your list pick from 2 objectives all the time, I do hope that something gets added into this part of the game to make it more interesting again. Then coming in at number 4, even though there are no particular order in all this, is doing away with the subtypes of objective tokens we have in the game, or at least make them more meaningful. What I'm referring to are the 3 types of objectives we currently have: target of opportunity, civilian, and asset. Currently in the game of hundreds, if not thousands of interactions, there are only 3 characters that deal with these subtypes of objectives. Quicksilver's Can I Borrow That, Human Torch's Too Hot to Handle, and Nick Fury's Grunts. Quicksilver's tactic card only lets him steal assets-based objectives, so he can steal a hammer or a cube fragment, but not a senator or spider-infected, similar to Jim's problem with Too Hot to Handle. It feels like something that is a bit more thematic than it is necessarily balance-related. But it can also be a weird gotcha if it isn't something that you even realized. For the shield agents, they are only able to interact with civilian or asset tokens. Probably mostly so that they aren't able to interact with any of these secure objectives like extremist consoles or any of the flip secures, but this also awkwardly prevents them from looking for the senator or finding the Kree core because the safe house and rubble piles are targets of opportunity. The interactions dealing with these objective subtypes are so minute, I would be fine with them just going away and making the interactions based off of whether something is a secure or extract. Now, granted, if AMG has some cool stuff planned that deals with these subtypes more, bring it on, but right now it feels like it's unnecessarily adding to the complexity of the game. And then the final thing I would like to see is more ruling from the rules forum make their way into the FAQ document. There are lots of questions that have come up on the rules forum, many of which that can be answered with enough understanding of the rulebook and how the game works. However, there are some things that you can only have the correct ruling for by going to the rules forum, which in itself is not a bad thing, but when some of these questions are asked repeatedly, the FAQ document should reflect some of those hot questions. As it stands, all of the FAQ questions currently in the document are mostly based off of the first couple of releases of models, with a couple thrown in from Mystique and Magneto, which means that there haven't been any Q&As on the FAQ for almost 2 years. They have still been updating the document with erratas and other fixes, but I would still like to see the document updated to have some of these things more commonly asked and situations addressed. And those are the 5 things I would like to see change going forward if we were to get a big MCP 2.0 update. Here at the end of the video, I want to give a shout out to the guild sponsors, Tritex Games and War Room Hobbies, which are both local gaming stores that host game nights, events, and all that kind of stuff, as well as offering MCP miniatures at a bit of a discount. If you shop from them, use the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout when shopping with Tritex to save an extra 5% off, and you can use the code MCP2022 and it'll save you an extra 10% off of your order from War Room. So if you want to get your hands on the Sentinels or just get your World War II lineup set up and are shopping online anyways, consider using these stores and discounts to help out in LGS. However, if you're already shopping from your LGS, that's awesome. Keep supporting them. We understand and approve heavily. But if you're also then wanting a way to still support the Guild's videos or podcast, check out our Patreon page. It isn't anything too crazy, but it does give you access to the Guild's Discord page and helps us continue to work on new projects. With all that said, an extreme thank you to the members of the Guild Hall who are supporting what we do here. In the next couple of weeks, I hope to continue testing these streams, and now we're also releasing 2 videos a week along with a podcast. Before I forget, we do have a monthly giveaway thanks to Tritex for one non-ultimate encounter, just like standard MCP expansion of your choice. All you need to do to enter is be subscribed to the channel and leave a comment on a video the same month that video was released. As well though, if you have enjoyed my thoughts and are new to the channel or the game as a whole, hit the subscribe button for a weekly dose of MCP content in the form of reviews, occasional battle reports, and other MCP goodness. As well, you can find the Gamers Guild podcast on several different podcast apps and platforms. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.